we start walking, and we live in suburbia, by the way, so I think it was shocking to people that thousands of people showed up. I think the news said like 200, 300. They lied.
Way more than that.
There was thousands of people there. I hope that we are starting to begin to be allies, but still every day we feel unequipped and totally not great at this whole fighting systemic racism.
Yeah.
But we're trying.
Yeah, we're trying not to be ashamed of it. We're like, we have to take a stand no matter what. So.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Before we talk about our first experience protesting, we want to talk about how we got there.
Well, how I got to our first experience protesting, for me, it started in Ohio when I was in high school and college, and I heard all of these stories of cop killing a black person. And the first time I heard it, my immediate reaction is, let me deduct, see all the sides. And after I was doing this, then another story of a black person is killed by a cop story comes out. And then I do the whole thing over again. And I never really come to a huge conclusion. At the end of the day, I often think it's a political issue that someone else should deal with, or secondly, that I should just stay silent because that's probably the best thing to do. And that's what I thought all the way up until I moved to San Diego, and just about a year ago I finished my master's degree, and in my master's we had a couple classes about racial injustice, and my last class that I took just 9 months ago, I think, or 10 months ago, was about racial injustice. We actually went all the way down to the bottom of the Coronado Bridge here in San Diego. Coronado is a peninsula, and of course the bridge connects to the main island, San Diego. And he was talking about, as we're in Barrio Logan, the place where this bridge was built or started, he was saying that they decided, the decision makers, the policy makers, either we could build this bridge in a white neighborhood, disrupt their lives, make it completely unbearable to live because of the huge sound of traffic, highway, and not even talking about the decentralization of all the homes, or we could build this bridge in Latino and black neighborhoods. And guess what they did? Of course, Latino and black neighborhoods was where the Coronado Bridge was built. Yeah. And for me, that's my first realization of, crap, like this racism, this is institutionalized. Like this is systemic. This is more than just a random cop killing a black person. It goes way back. Yeah. And that, coupled with, of course, reading several books at the time, made me realize that there's a lot more to the story. Lastly, fast forward 9 months, a compilation of more black people being killed by cops had led me to saying, okay, what do I do about this? Like, how do I even respond?
So my story starts here. My dad is the son of a white man and a black woman. My grandmother, Kathy, she actually ended up remarrying who's now my step-grandfather, but I just call him my grandpa because he's more present in my life, and he's also black. My mom is the daughter of a white man and a Mexican woman, and so my parents coming together, having me, I was passed down, they're black, white, Mexican, and everything in between. Even though I am mixed, I look more white than anything. I mean, I've grown up privileged, protected. I've never been judged or looked at differently because of the color of my skin. I've never been treated like my grandmother, Kathy, who grew up during the civil rights movement. She was oftentimes looked at as an object, less than human by so many people, and I love her so dearly, so that breaks my heart. I've never been treated like my dad, who was looked at as someone to fear. He grew up in the 1990s. He was a professional skateboarder, and so they got in a lot of trouble with the police just naturally, and because he is 50% black, I mean, he doesn't look white, so he was harassed all the time. There was actually a story that he told me recently, he told us recently, when he was at a restaurant with a few buddies, him and a few others, they were mostly black and one of them was white, and they were sitting waiting for service, and the white friend was pulled aside by the waiter or waitress, and they were like, "We're not gonna serve you." And
Like, this is the 1990s. Like, this is not 1960s where, like, oh, that was the end of racism, 1963 or whatever. Like
it's not new stuff.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, I haven't had a lot of conversations with my dad that I remember about his experiences, my family's experiences with racism. And so it hits really close to home. My dad never had to have the hard conversation with us about how to be careful when we come around the police or anything like that. I mean, the color of my skin is lighter. It's white. Of course, he's not going to have this conversation with us. We're not going to have that issue. It's like we get this free pass, which is really disturbing just because of that. So now with everything going on in our world, the past few weeks has been so hectic. I'm left not knowing where to go from here.
with this tension building up inside both of us, with our histories, with our backgrounds, we decided to do something. We basically decided to try. Like, we don't know exactly what to do. We are overwhelmed with the amount of things to do. And it's overwhelming.
And I can oftentimes feel inauthentic, kind of fake, because I've not experienced this trauma, this racism firsthand. Because I feel like I'm just scratching the surface, and I know I have a part to play in it.
I'm white also, and a male, so it's very easy to think if I get involved, I'm going to be crucified, which has definitely happened before. So I might as well just stay silent. And I don't know, I just want to say real quick to all those white males out there, no one's expecting perfection. They just want you to participate. By the way, I just want to say that. So let's keep going. Going forward, we decided we need to do really just one thing, and that's to try, to take one step at a time.
Try.
Our first step was to listen. We've watched the documentary 13th. We've watched a documentary about the racial wealth gap. We even watched the movie Just Mercy, which was so good.
It was crazy.
And it's a lot of tears, so just be prepared.
And we're going to keep listening. That's not going to stop.
The next step for us was communicating. So we kind of stood up in our friend groups, in our posts, and our conversations that we've had, which is maybe the hardest out of all of these, just to spread awareness that this thing's not going away and that we care about it.
Family, close family, listening to them.
So the next step for us, the last step, was for us just to try, to help in the ways that we could. So we've signed ballots, and we've had those serious conversations with our friends.
And I just want to say that it's been incredible to be able to do this with you. Just when we are struggling, going through what we've been going through as a society, to be able to do it with you, to inspire each other, has been huge. And I've also been thankful that we've committed ourselves to fight for what's right, to fight for the truth, for justice. So I love that. That's all I want to say.
Our first experience protesting was awesome. We felt pretty rebellious.
We did. That's a good word to use.
It's hot. We didn't want to go, honestly. We were too lazy, but they were like...
It was last minute. We were like, this is happening, and we were wanting to be a part of this for a while, so we're like, let's freaking do it.
So we got in our car. We decided to go to the place that we work first to make...
Find cardboard boxes.
Cut them out, like Sharpie, enough is enough, and Black Lives Matter.
It felt very like, okay, this is happening. It felt very surreal. So I was happy we were doing it. We're like, let's freaking make these signs. Let's get to the park. And there was a lot of people.
There. We get there, and then we sit and we hear these amazing people who organized it talk about Black Lives Matter, talk about George Floyd, and that was really an emotional experience. From there, we start walking, and we live in suburbia, by the way, so I think it was shocking to people that thousands of people showed up. I think the news said like 200, 300. They lied.
Way more than that.
There was thousands of people there. There are some pretty great signs, too. I want to show those signs right now. You can see those crazy signs. It was such a surreal experience, and it was cool to see tons of our friends there. We didn't talk to them before.
Nope.
That was pretty amazing. We took a picture with them, which we'll show right now as well.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it meant a lot to be able to walk with people we've known for so long, friends from years, and we even saw some of our bosses there, which was pretty from work, and it was like, this is awesome that you're taking a stand for this, because it's important to us, and knowing that it's important to you, it really does change things. So
then there were some really great chants that I'm sure you've heard if you went to protest, like ones like "Say his name, George Floyd." Say his name, George Floyd.
Say his name, George Floyd. Say his name, Breonna Taylor. George Floyd. Breonna Taylor.
So to say his name, I think, was pretty powerful. That was my favorite chant.
I also like the no justice, no peace.
No peace! No peace!
And honestly, I do want to mention when they had us take the knee for 8 minutes, like a moment of silence for 8 minutes that his knee was on George Floyd. And so that was very disturbing and crazy. It was so long.
Hundreds and hundreds of people doing the same thing. That was definitely probably the most powerful experience out of all of it.
Yeah, and to acknowledge that this is one of, you name it, of the mountain of injustices, just like George Floyd's. That was just one of a mountain of them.
Yeah.
And that was...
I hope that we are starting to begin to be allies, but still every day we feel unequipped and totally not great at this whole fighting systemic racism.
We're trying not to be ashamed of it. We're like, we have to take a stand no matter what. We also don't want to feel ashamed of taking a stand, knowing that it comes with a lot of backlash. We know it's the right thing to do, so we're going to do it. We also want to share a few resources with you down below, a few organizations you can donate to. Lastly, we're going to play this song. It is called A Change Is Gonna Come, and it's just another way for me to express how I'm feeling, even though I've had such trouble doing that. This is one of those ways. I was born by the river in a little tent, oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, and I know a change's gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, and I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. Ooh, it's been a long time coming, and I know a change gon' come. Oh, yes it will. Oh, yes, it will. Yes, oh, yes, it will. And I know a change is gonna come. Yeah.